about this question. I'm going to show you some stats. And it's specifically, right now I'm coaching about 600 people. And those people are all achieving at some level. Most of those people are earning between $75,000 and $5 million personally a year. But they're all interested in growth. About 40% of those people are real estate agents. Okay? So when I'm looking at a business and I'm coaching a business, the one thing I'm looking for are missing structures. And everybody has a missing structure in their business. And one of the most common missing structures is one we're going to tackle today, which is follow-up. Okay? And I'm going to show you some stats as it relates to the real estate market, and I want you to think about this. Okay? Here are some real estate stats. That first one is not a good sign on the real estate industry. Less than 9% of people will remember their real estate agent's name after the transaction is over. Now, what's the main problem with that? Because I want you to think about this. I want you to combo that stat with this one. Each transaction you do should be worth 5.7 referrals over the lifetime of the consumer. That's the National Association of Realtors stat. So let's say I put you in a house. And let's go back. Let's say I tell you, listen, you really want a professional representing you when you do this, right? That's what we're going to tell them. Because this is a big transaction, maybe one of the biggest transactions of your life, okay? And I'm going to help you through this. I'm going to guide you through it. I'm going to navigate you through it. I'm going to educate you through it. I'm going to negotiate on your behalf. I'm going to make this as stress-free as possible. You're going to love this new house. And when we're finished, I'm going to be so minimally impactful in your life, you're not even going to remember my name. Now, I want you to think about that, right? So I want you to combo these stats together. Less than 9% of people remember their agent's name after the transaction is over. Every transaction should be worth 5.7 referrals, but 98% of agents never call a customer back once they put them in a home. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? I have a theory on why we don't follow up after we've sold somebody something. But why do you think it is? Yes, ma'am.
I guess you've closed the deal, you got your money, you got to move on to the next
That's right.
lead, you know, and
right.
you just forget about them, so you just move on.
Yes. Your brain, here's my theory, very similar to what you just said. Your brain loves new. It loves novel. It loves different. It likes going out into the world and getting something. It hates anything common or boring. So once we did that transaction, you're kind of old news to me. Does that make sense? So we sell a lot out of our front window when a lot of money is sitting in your back seat. Imagine every person you do a real estate transaction with sends you those 5.7 referrals. Imagine building your business on that type of referral. So people always ask me, what's the system for follow-up after you sell a house? I say you should call them the day of. You know why you should call them the day of? If you don't go to the closing? Buyer's remorse kicks in within 30 seconds of a person signing the papers. Now, you know why that is? They're like, what have I done? Can I afford this? Oh my gosh, I'm scared. So if I were a real estate agent, after the closing, here's what I would do. So let's say I closed on your house, Stacy. As soon as we're finished, I go get in my car and you get in your car. The first thing I'm going to do is call you. And so I'm going to say, Stacy, I'm so proud of you that you bought a beautiful house. I'm so honored to help you with this, right? Now I'm going to check back with you in a couple days, make sure everything's going good. If it were me, I'd like to throw a party for Stacy and tell her to invite all of her friends at her new house. Does that make sense? I'm going to check back with you in 2 days. Then I'm going to check back with you in 2 weeks. Then I'm going to check back with you in 2 months to make sure everything's going good. And then I'm going to call you and check on you and make sure we're following up with you pretty much every month or every other month after that. Now, why would I do that? Because 98% of agents will not do that. Why would I do that again? Because I want what? That's part of the follow-up. I see every transaction as 6 transactions. So I start asking for the referral in the very beginning. When you commit to me and I'm your real estate agent, here's what I say. Listen, I expect this is going to go well, and if it does, when it's over, I'm going to want to work with all your friends because I believe like gravitates toward like. I believe association breeds assimilation. So if it goes great for you, when it's over with, hope you can help me build my business and help other people just like I've helped you, right? I start asking for the referral before we even get started. Now, I want you to think about this follow-up. Look at this second stat right here. 68% of people use the very first person that contacts them. Now, notice it doesn't say they use the best one or the most experienced one or the best looking one. Which one do they use? The first one. If I brought my cell phone over here right now and I said, give me 5 real estate agents' numbers and let me call them, how many do you think we could get on the phone? The number one complaint I hear about real estate agents is we can't ever get them on the phone. Now, here's the problem with that. If I call you and I don't get you, I'm just going to go to the next person. Right? 67% of people use the very first person that contacts them. Now, let's think about weekends. The reason people purchase real estate on the weekends has to do with the way the brain operates. The brain makes big decisions when it's relaxed. It does not make big decisions when it's under pressure. Okay? So the neocortex is the part of the brain that digests, thinks, makes decisions. So when do people typically make those big decisions? On Saturday and Sunday. Okay? You would never be able to show me a house through the week. I'm busy, I'm traveling, I'm moving. If you were calling on me, trying to get me, if you wanted me to buy something, the only time you need to call on me is on the weekends. Because I'm relaxed, I'm thinking, I'm more apt to purchase real estate. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So when you're thinking about this follow-up is a major issue because A, most people do not follow up. And then here's the real thing that gets a lot of real estate agents is this is what the stats tell me, is it takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert a prospect to a buyer. Okay, now how many times do you think most agents go on interested leads? 3? Okay, so let me ask you, this is a moment of truth right here, okay? This is a Vince Lombardi moment. How many of you go 7 touches when a person indicates interest in buying or selling a house? How many of you have a 7-touch system in place? Okay, what do those touches look like?
I do, in the morning I'll do a phone call, a text message, and an email in the morning.
Okay.
I'll do again in the afternoon, and I do that for the very first 3 days.
Okay.
So I do that 9 times, then I get about 7 more days. So
Okay.
probably should do it more frequently.
Okay. All right, now, the big question is this. Because the reason I wrote the book $1 Million Follow-Up, I wrote the book $1 Million Follow-Up for one reason. I watched how pitiful people follow up. I've inquired about real estate properties before. Listen, I was trying to rent a space in Mount Juliet to do this. It took me 2.5 months to get in touch with the agent. So he finally called me back, and here's what I said. I'm not interested anymore. I've already opened up the Hendersonville market now. I was willing to open up the Mount Juliet market 2 months ago, but you never called me. Now, what I should do is call your client, who you're representing, and tell them it took you 2 months to call me back. Because I would never in a million years let you represent me. See, that cost him money, cost the client money. Does that make sense? So when you think about this, a lot of people ask me, like, how frequent should I follow up with the person? And I think that depends on the velocity of the sale. So the way I know how serious you are is I ask a simple question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about this? And if they say 3, I say, I understand. But if I brought you something that you couldn't turn down, would you move from a 3 to a 7 pretty quickly? And a lot of times they go, absolutely. If you bring me something I can't turn down, I'll move very quickly, okay? So I want you to think of this follow-up as this. We're going to help you today build this 7-touch system. And I'm going to show you how to do both linear touches and nonlinear touches. I'm going to show you the purpose of the follow-up. I'm going to show you how to build a world-class follow-up. Because I just think a lot of people just don't have the effort to follow up, right? They just don't. They're just lazy. Now, when I make up my mind that I'm going to pursue a person, I'm coming. I'm going to go 7 touches. Okay? And you're going to feed me objections. We're going to talk about that today. You're going to give me objections. You're going to give me different things, right? And I'm just going to keep pivoting. And when I get to touch number 7, I'm going to say, have you noticed how hard I've worked to earn your business? Has anybody else worked this hard? And if you ask that question on touch number 7, you know what people are going to say? No. Ain't no other real estate agent ever called me like this. Right? How many of you reward effort in other people? I do. When people work hard for my business, I reward that effort. I may not give them the business, but I would definitely take the meeting with them. But somebody that calls one time or follows up with one touch and then gives up is really not that serious, okay? So you got to ask yourself what we're doing. So here's what I want you to remember. People are more motivated by what they'll lose than what they'll gain. It's a very important psychological concept to remember, because let's say you're showing me a property and you think I like it, but I start giving you objection. What are some of the objections that you hear every day? I don't feel like it. I don't feel it. I need to talk to my wife. I need to talk to my husband. Okay? Need to think about it. We live in the South, so we need to pray about it. Right? I heard one person say I need to meditate on it. I had one person say they need to medicate on it. That's a new one on me. I ain't heard that one before. I'm like, that's a good one, man. I've never heard that excuse before. You need to medicate on it, okay? Timing's not right. Not ready. Unsure about what my future is going to be. These are all common objections that you handle. Okay? Now, Stacy's showing me the house. Here's what she can say. Coach, it seems like, notice this phrase, because it's a phrase you need to be using a lot. It seems like. If you study any top negotiator in the world, they'll teach you to use this phrase. It seems like you love this house. When you say it seems like, it gets a person talking. Seems like you love everything but the master bedroom. Seems like you love the house, but you don't like the price. Seems like you like everything but the backyard. Seems like you like everything but the school your kid's going to go to. Am I right about that? What I'm trying to do is find your objection. So I say to people all the time, it seems like you want to do this, but you're stuck on one thing. Am I right about what that one thing is? It seems like. Now, what if I come back to Stacy, or Stacy come back to me and said this, Coach, it seems like you really want to do this, but you're stuck on this one thing. How would you feel if I had to call you tomorrow morning and tell you this property was no longer available? Now, the reason she needs to say that is because people are more motivated by what they will lose versus what they will gain. Coach, how would you feel? Seems like you and your wife absolutely love this property. How would you feel if I called you tomorrow and told you it was under contract for somebody else? I was trying to buy a condo in Nashville at one time because I got on this kick that I wanted a condo down at, I don't know, one of those nice condo places. I didn't need a condo in Nashville at all, but I got in my mind that I needed one. Does that make sense? Now, when a condo comes available in Nashville at that time, this was probably 2 years ago, they were gone and sold before they even come on the market. Does that make sense? Like when they come on the market, they're already sold. Because somebody knows somebody that's looking for one. So I had this agent in Murfreesboro that was representing me, and she was always late to the party. We'd make an offer. We'd make above asking price for offer. She called back and she said, I couldn't get it. I don't know what's going on. So then I called one of my agent friends in Nashville, and I said, what's going on? She said, she's out of the loop. She's trying to come in at the last minute. The deal's already done. The best thing she could do is get down there and sow some seed and work with some of these other agents that are selling these and know, so they will call her before they even come on the market. But the way you're going, we attempted to buy 5 properties, couldn't buy one of those. Right? Now, here's the deal. When I was sitting on the fence, I got in my mind, it was all an emotional decision. Remember, logically, I don't need the condo in Nashville. I emotionally wanted a condo in Nashville. Does that make sense? So when I'm sitting there on the fence, she says, look, it seems like you love this thing, but how would you feel if I called you tomorrow and told you it wasn't available? No, I don't want to lose it. We're sitting there waiting on it. We're trying to get it, right? I was more motivated by what I would lose than what I would gain. After 5 trips, we didn't get it. I was out. Okay? Now, here's my point. The reason I'm telling you this is because how much money are you losing because of poor follow-up? Now, at some point, I want to bring a big trash bag of cash in, and I want to dump it out right on somebody's table. And I want to say, this is money that could be in your pocket if you did a better job of following up. Now, if you don't know my story, I'm a former championship women's basketball coach. And that's why you see the big gaudy ring on my right finger. I spent a decade building Riverdale High School into a powerhouse, okay? So I spent from 19 to 31 building that into a championship program, that place has now won 7 of the last 9 state championships. It is a pure powerhouse, okay? Now, when I was coaching that team, here's what I was always thinking. I played the stats. I played percentages. If we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this, we win. If we don't do these things, we don't win. So then I started coaching business people, and I started saying this. They don't play the percentages. The percentages tell me you need to be prospecting a minimum of 2 hours a day. Outbound phone calls, nothing but new money. Most real estate agents do not prospect even 1 hour a day. Does that make sense? We prospect every morning from 9 to 11. If you were on my real estate team, the only way you'd be on my real estate team is if you committed to prospecting 2 hours a day, every day. Not for me, for who, Jason? For you. You can't tell me you want to make $100,000, $150,000 a year and then not commit to prospecting, right? So the percentages are I need to prospect every day. The percentages tell me 67% of people do what? Call who? First person. So we're going to have speed like cheetahs. A lead comes in, bam, we're on it. What if a lead comes in at 10 o'clock on Saturday night? What should we do? What should we do? Get back to them. Hey, would you like to talk about this right now? Now, we have a rule in my house. Here's what I tell my wife. Do you like living in this big house? She said, oh, yeah. And I said, well, I need to step out and take this phone call. Okay, now I don't have to take the phone call, but I can't guarantee we're going to make enough money living in this nice, pretty house. You know what she said? Go on and take it, sweetheart. Go on and step out and take it. You understand what I'm saying? Because people used to email into me to be their coach on Saturday night. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were drinking. I don't know what the problem was. Like sitting around like my life sucks. I need a coach. But we used to get all of these inquiries on Saturday nights. And we used to wait till Monday to follow up with them. By Monday, we couldn't get in touch with them. When we did talk to them, they didn't want to coach anymore. Well, they don't know if they got the money. On Saturday night, they were relaxed. They were comfortable. They were ready to make a decision. So now if email comes in at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, I text them right back. Hey, would you like to talk about this right now? Some people say, I'd like to talk about it tomorrow afternoon. Some people say, no, call me, schedule time on Monday. But my point is, the stats tell me 67% of people use the first person that calls them. So it can't take 3 hours to call somebody back. In real estate, when a person gets hot, I'm out looking at a property, I call you, but you don't answer. I guarantee you, we could do this. We could pick up the phone right now and call 5 real estate agents and see if we get any of them on the phone. I call some agents and say, man, I'm looking at a property. I was going to make an offer on this about $1 million, $1.5 million, but I couldn't get in touch with you. So I'm going to have to call on somebody else. They still didn't call me back. So when I was a basketball coach, we do this, this. So here's my stats. Number 1, I got to prospect for 2 hours a day every day. Nothing but new money. Number 2, I got to be quick to follow up with people because cheetahs win, right? Number 3, I got to follow up how many times? Minimum of 7. Okay? And after the sale, how am I going to follow up after the sale? Day of, 2 days after, 2 weeks after, 2 months after. And then I'm going to find a way to be involved in your life. Do you know that my real estate agent calls me every day? Sometimes twice a day. And you know why? Because every week I'm working on a real estate deal. You may say, well, isn't that too much? No, it's not too much. We don't always talk about real estate every time he calls. We talk about life, success, business, failure, marriage. He's just fighting for me. Does that make sense? Now, what's that? Yeah, it's hard to get in there, man, with him. But here's my deal. Once he gets off the phone with me, he does that with 25 other people. He's working 25 people with that type of relationship. He's following up with them every day. Tonight when I fly to Raleigh, North Carolina, he'll call me and say, man, what's going on in Raleigh? Let me check what's going on because I'm doing some events there. Hey, how did it go? He's constantly, you know why? He's also working on a project right now for me, $1.3 million that he would get the commission on. He's working on big real estate projects for me because he's always where? Right there attached to my hip. So even if you try to get my business, you're going to have to work real hard to break up that relationship. Okay? But that's the kind of relationship you want to build. Okay? Now, so how many of you can admit, how many of us can admit we're losing a bunch of money because we don't follow up appropriately? Okay? Right? And you know why? We live in such what I call a cotton candy society. We want to call on a person right now, and we want you to take action right now. And if you don't take action right now, we assume you're disinterested. We move on to somebody else. Here's the deal. Here's what I say to people in my sales team. If a person does not take action on something, it's not because they don't want to do it. It's because you did a poor job of helping them. Does that make sense? Total ownership is this. If I call on you and you don't take my phone call, after 3 or 4 touches, here's what I would say. I would say, look, I want to apologize to you. I've done a very poor job of explaining my services and how I can help you, because if I'd have done a better job, you'd already called me back. It's not your fault you're not calling me back. It's my fault. You know how many people call me back when I say that? Hey, it's not your fault you're not calling me back. But what are most real estate agents? Well, I tried to get in touch with them and I couldn't get in touch with them. How hard did you try? Did you show up? Did you text message? Did you send the pigeon? How hard did you really try to get their attention? I don't think you tried that hard. You tried one time and they didn't answer and you said, well, I couldn't get in touch with them. Okay, my guy on my team, Eric White, the other day, I said, get me on the phone with so-and-so, Brad Inman. Inman creates the big conferences, the Inman conferences, and I spoke at one of those not long ago. I said, get me on the phone with Brad Inman. Looked around on there for a minute, said, Coach, I can't find a number for him. I said, give me the computer. Go to his LinkedIn, go to his website, find his office, call his secretary. Within 5 minutes, I was on the phone with Brad Inman in California. Now, how hard was that? What do most people say? Couldn't get in touch with them, couldn't find them. How relentless are you about this, okay? Now, here's the cold hard truth about most agents. Number one, you're losing a lot of money by not following up properly. There's two problems in the follow-up. One is you're not going the 7 touches. 2 is the way you follow up. So the methodology is wrong. So how do most people follow up? Give me how most people follow up. What do they say? Hey, just one follow up with you? Now, that does nothing to make a person think about taking action. What else do they say? Hey, I just want to see if you had any questions. Now, what could they say? Ain't got any questions. I had one real estate agent, I have real estate agent, well, just checking in. Just doing my due diligence. Just following up. Just wondering if you have any questions. All of these are incorrect ways to follow up. None of those would get a person to take action on a buying decision. None of those. So the methodology, how many of you are guilty of saying that, some of those? How many of you are guilty of saying just checking in, just following up, just want to know if you have any questions? What you want to do is make me think. So let's say I'm looking at a real estate deal and you're representing that person. What you want to do is call me and when we get off the phone, I go, he's right. We need to take action on this. What you want an action out of the follow-up. You want to call me and kind of challenge me. Coach Burt, you told me exactly what you wanted, and I brought it to you on a silver platter. Now, we're losing momentum here, big guy, and I believe we lose 10% of momentum every day we don't take action. And Coach Burt, if you got to sleep on it one more night, you may not be able to sleep in it. So when you get off the phone, I want you to call your wife, and I want to talk about it and get back out to that property. Because it seems like you love it. Now, you see how you need to push just a little bit harder? What he wants is when I get off the phone, pick up the phone and call my wife and say, look, we got to go back out and look at that property. We are interested in it. Everybody see what I'm saying here? Now, if he called me and said, do you have any questions? That does nothing to make me pick up the phone and call my wife. Just following up with you, Jason, does nothing to get me to go, okay. What you're trying to do in the follow-up is create a sense of urgency. Create a sense of urgency. Create a sense of urgency. Okay? We're losing momentum. I brought you what you wanted on a silver platter. Seems like you like it, but you're stuck on one thing. Right? What I'm doing is pushing just a little bit. Now, tell me why we would have a problem with that. We live in the South. That's why we got a problem with it. Now, I coach people all over the world. I went to New Jersey once a month last year to coach the biggest investment bank in New Jersey. Here's the first thing they said to me. You got to get tougher. In New Jersey, it ain't sales flirting. We sales flirt in the South. In Jersey, it's like, are you in or out? Let's go. Right? I mean, those people wake up pissed off in the morning, all right? I'm telling you. So here's the deal. I had to toughen up to sell up there because they're more direct. They're more to the point. Now, I didn't go all the way, but I came home to the South and I said, here's what we do in the South. We sales flirt. Here's how sales flirting looks. Hey, if you need anything, here's my business card. You call me if you need anything, okay? Smile, flirt a little bit, right? That's what we do in the South. Hey, I don't want to bother you. I know you said you're interested in this house, but I don't want to be an inconvenience to you. I don't want to bother you. Listen, you got to get rid of all that stuff. Are you an expert or not? Do you think experts follow up with people and go, hey, just checking in with you? Right? If you called into my office and said that you wanted to grow your business 40 or 50%, when I call you back, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to say, now look, you called in and you told me you wanted to do as many deals as my real estate agent is doing, which is 120 a year. When I started coaching him, he was doing 35 a year. Now, that's what you told me, right? That you wanted to go to the big boys league, big girls league? Well, here's what you got to do. I can't help you until you commit. Once you commit, I'm not going to let you fail. I wouldn't call back and say, well, do you have any questions I can answer about the program for you? I would say, you told me you want to get better, and this is how we can do it, right? Customers don't know what they want until you do what? Tell them. I don't know what I want until you tell me, okay? Now, So here's what I want you to know. Here's this whole sales cycle. And I want you to think about where your business is breaking down right now. Okay, number one, I don't have enough leads. I don't have enough leads. I'm not calling on enough people every day. Because I'm not calling on enough people every day, and here's what the percentages tell me. For every 30 people I call on, only 4.8 are going to be interested. First problem I see with most agents are not calling on 30 people. You need to be talking to 30 people a day, every day. I was down at a conference last week in Las Vegas, and one of my buddies is Grant Cardone, who wrote the 10X rule. He said their sales team makes 3,000 phone calls a day. Per day. Those are not automated phone calls. Those are real people picking up the phone one after another after another. They're making 75 to 150 phone calls per day. Okay? I look at what some people are doing. I'm like, man, you called 2 people today. And they were your buddies. One of them was your husband, and one of them was one of your best friends. Now, who are we going to sell something to? We're not going to sell anything to anybody doing that. So, number one, the biggest problem is you don't have enough leads. Okay? The reason you don't have enough leads is because you don't dedicate 2 hours a day to prospecting. Everybody with me? Now, once you get the prospects in here, between here and here could take 7 to 15 touches. I got to get their attention. I got to articulate my value. I got to follow up. I got to overcome their objection. I got to keep pushing them until finally they go, you know what, I'm in. Write up the contract. Now I got a new client. Now, we do a good job from contract to close. Should you be asking for referrals? Absolutely. The best point of a relationship is in the beginning. You live with anybody long enough, you'll find something you don't like about them. Okay? Here's my point. This is the highest point of energy right here. Not at the closing table. The closing table is not when you need to ask for referrals. The only thing they got their mind on is getting their keys and getting in their new house. You don't say, hey, if this has been good for you, who else can you recommend? Do you know anybody buying or selling real estate right now? You don't need to be asking that question. That's one of the creepiest questions anybody could ever ask. Right? Like, don't hit me up at Publix and say, hey, do you know anybody buying or selling real estate right now? No, I don't. But here's what you say. Coach Burt, you're a cool person. I love representing you, and I know you hang around other cool people. Who do I just need to know? Oh, there's 5 people in Rutherford County I think you need to know. I don't know if they're interested in real estate right now or not, but at some point they're going to buy or sell real estate. When I worked with John Floyd in Old South Properties, because I coached him for 2 years, here's what he used to say. If they don't live in a box or under a bridge, at some point they're going to buy a house. And when they do, we want to buy one of our houses. Does that make sense? That was his whole philosophy. So if that's true, who do we need to be talking to? Everybody, because everybody's going to buy a house at some point, right? So when you think about this is when you should be asking for referrals right here. If you do a great job, follow the plan I'm showing you, day of, 2 days after, 2 weeks after, 2 months after, they're going to be promoters. And if you keep going deeper in that relationship, they're ultimately going to become what's called advocates. And an advocate is a person that's fighting for you in the market. Imagine having 25 people sending you 3 referrals a year. 75 deals a year out of 25 people. Now, I'm not asking you to follow up with the crazy people you don't like working with. There's some people you've represented that you didn't like. Yes or no? You don't ever want to talk to them again, see them again, have anything to do with them. I'm okay with you not ever calling them. But what I do need you to do is people you like, find 25 good ones and then promote that, okay? Now, here's the concept. How many of you are prospecting 2 hours a day every day right now? Anybody? How many of you will commit to prospecting 2 hours a day? Okay? Give me the excuses on why you can't do it. Excuse is a self-proclaimed opt-out clause. Tell me all the reasons why you can't prospect 2 hours. Okay? Kids, are they with you all day? What about the other part? You know, a good coach is not going to let you have any excuses, right? Here's my point. Here's my rule. Every day you show up to your office, you should have 2 lists. You should have a hit list of new money. Okay, I want you to write down who you can call on during this period. A hit list is, I'm going after some people today. Everybody with me? Here's the 4 people you can go after every day. Number 1, you can go to current clients and ask for referrals. Okay, I can go to current clients and I can ask for referrals. How do I ask for a referral? Don't get all creepy on it. How do you ask for a referral? Yeah, I'm saying, hey, here's what I say. I believe like gravitates toward like. I believe like-minded people hang around other like-minded people. I've loved working with you. Who else do I need to know and connect with? I'm in a campaign right now to get 125 referrals in the next 90 days. And the way I'm going to get 125 referrals in 90 days is I'm going to go to my top 25 clients, and I'm going to say this: I love working with you, and I got a big goal in life to help a lot of people, and I can't do it without you. So I'm going to give you one day to come up with 5 people in this city that you think I can help with my services. I'm going to call you back tomorrow, and we're going to call on these people together. Fair enough? Now, none of my top 25 will turn me down. You know what they'll say? Be happy to help you. It actually behooves them to help me. Why is that? Say again? That's right. Because they're going to call old Coach Burt at some point and say, hey, I need a favor from you. But when I get more people in my program, there's more people to exchange business with. It benefits them for my network to be stronger because they can sell a house to you and do a mortgage with you and do my insurance with you and do my title with you. So what I'm selling is not only access to get coach, I'm selling access to 600 other people that you could sell something to. Does that make sense? So I say, look, this is a huge benefit to you to bring people to the party with you so y'all can exchange more with each other. So will you help me out? Notice how specific I was. So first person I can call on is my current clients, ask for new business. Everybody with me? You can do that between contract and close. You can do it after the sale. But you need to be relentless in making these phone calls. Okay? 2, I can call on past clients. I got current clients I'm asking. I call on past clients. 3, I can call on strategic partners. This is an under-tapped market. My doctor sends me referrals. My attorney sends me referrals. My mortgage person sends me referrals. My insurance agent sends me referrals. Everybody see that? This is an expectation to do business with me. Does that make sense? I do not do business with anybody outside of my network, i.e. I don't do my insurance with anybody who's not in my coaching program. I don't do my real estate with anybody who's not in my coaching program. I don't do my mortgages with anybody who's not in my coaching program. Does that make sense? And I say this: if you and I are going to be partners, partnership is a two-way street. I'm going to push you as hard as I can to everybody I know. I know a lot of people. All I expect from you is you to push me too. So if you're not sending me referrals, then we're going to have a problem with each other. I'm going to go find somebody who will. Everybody see that? This is called a vested partnership. It's a vested partnership. So during my call times during the day, a lot of times I'm calling on my strategic partners. I'm calling my insurance guy and say, who else do I need to know? I'm calling my mortgage originator. Who else do we need to know? How many of y'all are in a partnership that's a one-sided relationship right now? And you're feeding them business, but they ain't feeding you any. Now, why are you accepting that? Because I guarantee you, with all the people you could choose from, you could find a person who would feed you back, right? So during my call times, I call on strategic partners, all right? The 4th person I can call on are straight direct leads. Straight direct leads. And I use about 14 different ways to drive leads. Okay, so I'm working a lot of strategies to get the phone to ring. Okay? Now, during my call times, which I do from 9 to 11. Now, here's the first excuse people use. Everybody's at work from 9 to 11. Listen, the average person looks at their cell phone 89 times during the day. I don't care where they work. They got that phone close to them. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Everybody with me? So you can use the excuse, well, they don't answer the phone from 9 to 11 because they work over at Pillsbury and they won't let them answer the phones. I guarantee you, on their break at Pillsbury, guess what they do? Look at that phone, okay? I call people in the mornings because studies show that people are more open and receptive in the morning than they are in the evenings. People are tired in the evenings. So we call people from 9 to 11. Do we get in touch with a lot of people? No, we don't, but I don't care. That sets us up for the next call, for the text message, for the video that we send, for the email that we come behind. Does that make sense? So we commit every day to working our hit list from 9 to 11 every morning. Okay? Every day, that's nothing but outbound calls. Now, here's my rule. Some of y'all are going to break this rule. You cannot deal with anything that occurred in the past during your prospecting times. So let's say I sign a contract last week and there's an issue on that contract this week, and it comes up at 9:07. If you're committed, like I'm trying to get you committed to your prospecting, at 9:07 you don't deal with this issue. You deal with it at 11 o'clock. Does that make sense? Now, common sense factors in here. If it's your biggest client and they call you and there's some major issue you got to deal with, step away and deal with it, and then go right back to what? Prospecting. I bet 98% of agents do not commit to 2 hours of prospecting a day. I can't tell you how much money you'd make if you prospected 2 hours a day. So I'm working my hit list over here every day. So when I come into my office every morning, I got a list of names that I'm calling on. I don't know if they're interested or not. When I called Brad Inman, I didn't know if he was interested in having me speak again in his conference or not. I just picked up the phone and called him. All he can say is no, right? So I got a hit list and I got a farm club. Now let me define the farm club for you. The farm club are people who have indicated interest in your services, but you have not closed them. They've come in, they said, I'm looking at buying, whatever the case may be. I'm interested in this house. These are where the 7 touches live. They are in your farm club, okay? Now, how many of you have a bunch of money sitting in your farm club right now? You got a bunch of people that have indicated interest in your services, but they haven't taken action. Why haven't they taken action? Whose fault is it that they haven't taken action? It's our fault. It's your fault. Because you've not done a good enough job explaining how you can help them, or why they need to take action on this house, or why they need to sell their current house. See, now I'm not saying that it's always your fault, but I want you to go into it with this mindset. Like if I call you today and you don't sign up for something that I have, or even do something, buy a book, get a download, do something, that ain't your fault, it's my fault. Because if I'd done a good enough job or a better job explaining my services to you, you would have already signed up. Everybody understand? That's what you got to say. It's my fault. That's total ownership. Read Jocko Willick's book on extreme ownership, the Navy SEAL. Take ownership of everything. Somebody's not called me back, ain't your fault, it's my fault. I didn't close the deal, ain't your fault, it's my fault. Okay? That's the concept. So every day I got a hit list and every day I got a farm club. Now, here's what I want you thinking as it relates to this follow-up. Because this ties into the psychology of following up. Money changes hands when problems are solved. Okay? Money changes hands when problems are solved. A real estate agent is solving problems. Okay? They're solving problems. So you have to help me in the follow-up is you got to keep pounding away at my problem. What's my problem? Hate my neighbor because they're crazy and they shoot guns all night long. Okay? I don't like where my kids go to school. My wife don't like, when we moved houses last, it's because I had built that house before I got married, and my wife come to me one day and she said, I know you love this house, and it was a great bachelor's house, but it's just not right for what? For our family. Now I got a problem. Does that make sense? Money changes hands when problems are solved. So when I follow up with you, I remind you of the problem you had. Remember when you told me you didn't like that current house? Remember when you told me that you didn't like the school your kids went to? Remember when you told me you didn't like how big your backyard was? I found exactly what you're looking for. Can we schedule a time to go look at it tomorrow afternoon? Well, timing's not right. How do we handle that? Okay, not yet. Don't come at me. You're thinking right, but don't hit me with that yet. When you get objection, write this down. This is the formula. Number 1, I listen and I acknowledge. I don't care what their objection is. I listen to it and I acknowledge it. Okay? I listen to it and I acknowledge it. Hey, this ain't working right. Now, I listen and I acknowledge. What does that look like? Timing's not right. What do you say? I understand. This house has a ridiculous price on it. What do you say? It is ridiculous. I don't care what they say. Agree with them. Why would you do that? Yeah, here's the deal. Are you my agent or are you my adversary? When you come out of the gates and get defensive, now in my mind you have activated the crocodile part of my brain. Now I'm in a defensive posture. I'm like, are you on my team or not? So I don't care what they say. You agree with them. I understand. When somebody complains about you, you didn't call me back like you should, don't get defensive. Don't say, well, oh my God, I'm so busy. My kids are running crazy. That's why I didn't call you back. Here's what you need to say. You're right. That's my fault. I'm sorry I didn't call you back like I should. It disarms people. Does that make sense? Listen, when you're coaching 1,000 people a month like I am, there's people that are going to complain. They don't like how I said this. They don't like how tall I am. They don't like my southern accent. They don't like this. Here, when people complain, you say, you're right. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay? I listen and I acknowledge when people give me objection. Timing's just not right. I understand. Now, here's the isolation question. Here's the isolation question. Is there any other reason outside of this one thing that would keep you from moving forward with me on this house? Because it seems like what? Seems like you love it. This is called isolation. So in the isolation question, what I say, is there any other reason outside of you believing that timing is not right that would hold you back from moving forward on this property? Everybody see that? Now, after isolation, I validate. If I could show you how the timing is right on this property, and this is actually the best time to purchase, would you take action on it? Or I may say, I remember a time in my life when I didn't think the timing was right. Matter of fact, when I was a high school basketball coach, I was always worried about when I was going to retire and not retire, and I had all these championship teams I was going to have, and the timing never seemed to be right. And then I figured something out. There is no such thing as right timing. We create our own timing. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm sitting there now I'm back in their brain. They're like, oh, you know, he's kind of right. There's time. Okay? Now, if they don't move on these things, the final thing I do is I reframe them. I reframe them. Can't you and I both agree that time is never going to be right to take action? I can't guarantee that this house is going to be available when you come back 6 months and look for it. Seems like you love it. I know one thing for sure, the inventory problems we got, this house ain't going to be here. So if you want it, we better draw it up and take action on it. Everybody see what I'm talking about? I listen, I acknowledge, I isolate. My favorite part of overcoming objection is isolation question. Is there any other reason outside of this one reason that's keeping you from moving forward? No, it's just this one thing. Okay, if I could overcome, that's just one little bitty problem compared to what we're looking at here. You're focused on the wrong thing right now. Imagine coming home to this house every single night. Imagine being away from that crazy neighbor that shoots guns in the middle of the night. Imagine coming home to your dream house every night. That's what I want you to get your brain around. Now, timing may not seem right to you, but I'm telling you, we create our own timing. This is the house that you told me you wanted, and I brought it to you on a silver platter. Now, I always smile when I'm talking to people. So when I push them and challenge them, right, they don't get like he's aggressive. They get like, hey, man, this guy's fun. He's making this a process. Does that make sense? I kick people in the butt without being negative. So I call it being intense and positive. I'm intense, but I'm positive with people. Now, you call me because you hate where you currently live. Isn't that right? Now, I'm bringing you exactly what you want in the best subdivision in all of Rutherford County. And it's at a great price point. But I can't help you until you commit now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about this? Okay, if I brought this to you based on you, I basically brought you 100% of what you wanted. Could you move from a 4 to a 7? If I could get a great price for your current house? See what I'm saying? Now, this is very important because when I'm following up with a person, I'm going to get objection, yes or no? I'm going to get objection. So I listen, I acknowledge, I isolate, I validate. Now, the bigger the problem, the more people pay to solve it. So I want you to think about it like this. You can solve a $179,000 problem, or you can solve a $1.4 million problem. Which problem would you rather solve? Is it the same problem, yes or no? Do you know that the average, I have a house down in Seaside, Florida we do retreats at. That house cost me $1.66 million. The average sale price of a house in Seaside, Florida today is $1.6 million. You could sell 12 houses in Seaside and make $400,000 a year as a real estate agent. Are you solving the same problem as a $240,000 house in Murfreesboro, yes or no? Yes. So this is important. You can wake up in Rutherford County and just take on whoever calls you for whatever size house you want. Or you can target the influential people in Rutherford County. Get to know them, where the money is. They buy bigger houses. They have second houses. Do you understand what I'm saying? If I was a real estate agent, the first thing I would do is I'd call the 50 most influential people in Rutherford County. And I'd say, I don't know if you're currently satisfied with who's your current handling your real estate transactions or not, but I'd love to take you to lunch. And I'd love to pick your brain on how you became so freaking successful. that make sense? I would go after the money. I would go after blue marlins versus blue gills. Now, this is very different than how most real estate agents attract their business, because how do they do their business? They go to their office, or they don't go to the office. What do? Boy, I sure do hope somebody calls in today on one of them listings I got. Well, nobody called today. Wasn't a good day today. That's a turtle. You going to be a turtle or you going to be a cheetah? Cheetah is 2 hours a day I'm calling on people, and I'm working people, and I'm finding out deals, and you understand what I'm saying? I got a hit list and I got a farm club. I'm going after blue marlins versus blue gills. Everybody see that? Are people selling $400,000 to $600,000 to $1 million houses in Rutherford County? Yes or no? Somebody's representing those people. You know what makes me sick? Companies from Nashville coming to Murfreesboro and representing the high-end real estate in Murfreesboro. You know what the people of Murfreesboro are saying? We don't think you can represent high-end real estate. So we got to go down to Nashville and get Sotheby's or whoever that know nothing about this market. If I was a real estate agent, that would piss me off so much. You know what I'd say? You don't ever need to go to Nashville and get somebody who don't know this market. I can represent high-end houses in Rutherford County. I can. Everybody follow what I'm saying? So you could solve $1 million problem, or you could solve a bunch of $120,000 problems. But it has to do with the people you're associating with every day. Does that make sense? Where you're going around. So my hit list every week are people who got money. Time, interest, and money. Okay? Now, I'll stop right there and give you a second to talk at your table. Out of everything I've said so far, what's the one thing you're going to go back and change in your real estate business? Okay? Take a second, tell the people at your table. Take a second, tell the people at your table. out of a defensive posture and into an offensive mindset. And to get into an offensive mindset means you need a rhythm and a schedule. Do you guys have an office? Yes. Can everybody come to the office? So let me tell you what a lot of people do in real estate. They don't go to the office. When you are in isolation of other people and there's no accountability and no structure, I guarantee you are underperforming. Sitting home in your pajamas, working from your home office, very few people have the self-discipline that it takes to produce in that environment. Everybody with me? If I told my team, y'all just work from wherever you want to, I guarantee you we wouldn't be half as productive as we are. I want to see my sales guy on that phone for 2 hours a day every day. I want to be right there listening to phone calls. I want to help coach him. I want to create him energy and an environment that people are coming to. Does that make sense? If I ran a real estate company, that would be part of the deal. You come to the office, and we're going to get in there together, and by George, we're going to go after it every day. It's going to be fun. We're going to play music. We're going to get excited. We're going to push, and they're going to be in this loner stuff where you're out there in la-la land by yourself. This is one of the biggest problems with real estate companies. I actually believe a lot of the new companies that are out there that have these models where there's no offices, no brokers, no anything, I'm telling you from a guy coaching a lot of people, people do not have the self-discipline to go out there and do it on their own without somebody every now and then kicking them in the butt. You understand what I'm telling you? So what I'd like to see is you in that office every day for 2 hours on that phone, working them phones, prospecting, having fun with each other. We have little stress balls we throw at each other. Yeah, just have some fun. It's not stressful, right? But every day you should be committed to 2 hours of prospecting every day. Who am I calling? My hit list and my farm club. My hit list and my farm club. Everybody with me? Now what you could tell me is, who am I supposed to call? Don't know who to call. It's 269,000 people in Rutherford County. There's 1.3 million people in Middle Tennessee. So is there not anybody for you to call on? Right? 7.5 billion people on planet Earth. I even think there's some on Mars now. You can sell them a house too, right? My point is, it's not that there's no people, it's your consideration. Like, well, who do I call? I don't want to bother people, and I don't want to follow up to them. It seems like I'm stalking them. I don't want. You got all these little internal considerations that are keeping you from being great. Okay? If you're making $40,000 a year and you make 10 phone calls a week, try making 20 phone calls a week. See if you don't double your numbers. That makes sense? For every 30, how many people are interested? 4.8. I got to go through a lot of people. Okay? Now, let's finish up with this. Here's the purpose of the follow-up. The purpose of the follow-up is to rekindle the initial attraction. You want to take time and space out of every deal. You do not want deal fatigue to sit in. Like the guy in Mount Juliet, deal fatigue set in. I was interested. Now I'm not interested anymore. We live in an ADHD world, which means I could be interested in the morning and completely forgot about it in the afternoon. Your job is to keep my attention. Anything you can do to keep my attention is critical. Okay? Now, so the first purpose is to rekindle. What's the best way to rekindle initial attraction to a property? Get them back on that property. This should be one of your number one things. When somebody's interested in something, hey, seems like you love it, let's go back out and look at it again. Right? The more they can feel it and taste it and touch it, the more they're going to want it. The more space you get between them and that property, the less likelihood that deal's going to happen. I just told you I bought things I don't even need. We got a cabin in the mountains we don't ever even go to. I can't even remember the last time we went to it. But when we were up there that time, I had to have one, right? Then you buy it just like, hey, well, it's 6 hours away. It takes us 6 hours to get there. Now we need something in Monteagle Mountain versus up in Gatlinburg. You see what I'm saying? Now we rent that property, so it makes money, so I'm not too mad about it. But my point is, when I'm there, I want it. When I leave, I don't want it anymore. So the purpose is to do what? Get them back there. Get them back there, okay? Second thing, articulate how you can solve the problem. Remember when you told me this? Seems like you like it. Seems like you really don't like your current house. Remind them of the problem. 3, challenge them. Challenge them. Let's use another word, reframe. Reframe, okay? 3, trigger movement in the buying decision. An object at rest stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force. Okay, let me show you some of my best closes. Okay, here's what not to say. If you're saying this, don't ever say this again after today. And if you do, don't ever tell anybody you've been coached by me, okay? Just checking in, just doing my due diligence. Woke up thinking about you. Oh, somebody said that to me. That is so creepy. I'm like, did you dream about me too? Because that is so creepy, man. That is like the creepiest thing. You should never say that. Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready? Okay, do you have any questions? Now, we had an insurance guy call me every Monday morning at 8 a.m. trying to upsell me life insurance. Every Monday, he would call me with the same pitiful pitch. Coach, I think you're underinsured. You're doing so many big things in the world. You travel so much. I really think you need more life insurance. I said, I do not do business with people outside of my network. You're not in my coaching program. I've got 15 insurance people in my coaching program. I can't justify using you over them. There's no way this is going to happen. Every Monday, call me back again. Thinking he's going to wear me down. So one Monday, I tricked him. I called him at 7:58. I'm like, I know you're about to call me with your same lame-ass pitch that you call with every week. I'm not going to purchase insurance from you, okay? Let me be very clear about this. But what we can do, since I have you on the phone, is go ahead and enroll you in our coaching program because you certainly need some coaching. Everybody with me? You need to learn how to follow up, okay? This is not how you follow up with people. This is how 98% of people follow up. You can't do this, okay? So what I say are things like this. When I'm trying to close a person, this is what I say. Hey, I brought you exactly what you wanted on a silver platter. What would stop you from taking action on it? We lose 10% of momentum every day we don't take action. I think there's power in taking action. We've looked at this property 4 times. You clearly love it. Seems like you want to do it, but you're scared. Remember this, there's only 2 reasons a person doesn't take action: fear and insecurity. Fear is an emotion created by a belief that something's going to harm me in the future. I'm afraid of something. Fear breeds insecurity, which is vacillation, doubt, stagnation. The only 2 ways to overcome fear and the only 2 ways to overcome fear and insecurity is to feed people more information. So part of my follow-up is to keep feeding you information. So what kind of information could I feed you? Hey, there's 2 strategies I would use here. There's somebody I just helped last week, just like you. Let me show you a testimony of what they said. Hey, let me give you some feedback on this market. Let me show you the appreciation values of the houses. Let me show you how this is the hottest market in Rutherford County. I'm just going to keep feeding you information. Information calms people down. Does that make sense? And the story I always use here is last year in December, I purchased my own airplane because I fly a lot and I have a 6-year-old daughter. And I was on the road 100 to 200 days and I missed my daughter and I missed my wife. So I purchased a Beechjet 400, which is a 7-passenger jet. Okay, there's me and one other person that own this airplane. And so this year I've been traveling on that plane from place to place. And one night, coming back from Memphis, we got in very serious storm, and there was a tremendous amount of turbulence. And it was late at night. We were in a storm. I couldn't see. And when you're up there, you literally feel like you're going to fall out of the sky because you're getting hit with turbulence, wind, you're dropping. And in a smaller plane, you can feel it a lot more than you can in a big plane. Does that make sense? So I was freaking out because I'm tired, my mind is racing. I'm like, oh my God, it was just traumatic, very traumatic. And we get back to the place, and I'm talking to the pilot, and he's like, Coach, it's perfectly fine. He's like, I know it feels uncomfortable to you, but these planes are engineered to handle turbulence. All turbulence is wind. What it does is just takes you off path, and then they recalibrate back to its position. So it may drop a little bit or hit. He said, but there's nothing to be worried about. Here's what he said to me: planes don't crash because of turbulence like that. You understand? So I go home that night and I start watching YouTube videos. Do planes crash because of turbulence? Every single expert in the world says no, they do not. You understand what I'm saying? Now, and I even bought a book on it. And I'm reading this book, and I'm like, now, here's my point. Once I knew that, I had enough information, then I didn't panic anymore. Does that make sense? So when we meet turbulence now when I fly, we may meet it tonight going to Raleigh on a big plane. But my point is, now that I know it, I'm more educated. Now it doesn't bother me. Now it's like, hey, it's just a little bit of turbulence. Does that make sense? Now, when a person is not taking action with you, they're afraid of something. I'm afraid I can't make the payments. I'm afraid I'm going to get a divorce. I'm afraid I'm going to get laid off from my job. I'm afraid this. I'm afraid of some unexpected thing. You have got to feed them information. I understand that you're afraid. I understand that this is a problem. I understand, okay? But let me feed you more information so you can make this decision. Does that make sense? The purpose of the follow-up is keep feeding them more information, okay? You're focused on the wrong numbers. Here's a good example. How many of you have had a person not take action on a house and the payment was maybe $100 more over another payment? How many of you ever had that before? Here's what I say. You focused on the wrong numbers, man. You could live in this house for $100 more a month. Could you cut out going to Longhorn one night to live in this house? Well, I don't know. Longhorn's got a good steak. So you're telling me going to Longhorn is more important than you living in this house? Is that what you're telling me? Does that make sense? That's how I challenge a person. So you're telling me it's more important to you to go out to Longhorn than to live in this beautiful house. This house is clearly better than the house you live in. For less than $1,250 more a year, you could have this house. You're focused on the wrong number. Like people, when I sell people to my coaching program, it's $4.99 a month. Okay? To get into my coaching program. Some people go, oh my God, $4.99 a month. I'm like, you focused on the wrong number, man. I just told you I took a real estate agent from 35 deals to 120. How much more do you think he cares about $4.99 a month? You understand what I'm saying? If I could bring you $25,000 and you paid $6 to get it, would you pay $6 to get $25,000? Yes or no? That's what I tell people. You're focused on the wrong thing here. Same thing is true of a house. You're looking at this house, you're focused on the wrong thing. You should be focused on how happy you're going to be. For $1,200 more a year, you could have this versus this. You're focused on the wrong number. Does that make sense? I challenge people to think about this. I'm like, you're looking at this all wrong. Okay? Now, have you seen enough to make a decision? I ask this. I would take a person out to a house the first time and say, have you seen enough to make a decision? Right? We ain't got to look at 17 other houses. This house has this. Let me give you one more objection. It's not 100% of what I want. How do you handle that one? What if I tell you it's not 100% of what I want? How would you handle it? Look at your formula. Listen. What do you say? I understand. Ask me the isolation question. Is there any other reason outside of you not believing it's 100% that would keep you from moving forward? Okay? Now validate and reframe me on that one. What would you say to challenge me a little bit? Because I got to get y'all out of this. I got to get you out of this poodle mindset and into a pit bull mindset. Challenge me a little bit. My problem is it's not 100% of what I want.
What could make it 100%?
Okay. Here's try. This is called role playing right here. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Should you be role playing every day? Yes or no? You were in the military for how many years? Did y'all practice? Did you test? On the same thing. Why didn't you just do it one time? That's right. Look, let me tell you guys something. Great role play every day. Military trains every day. They don't train once. As a basketball coach, I didn't practice one day. I practiced 5.5 hours a day for 4 years. Real estate agents don't train enough. They don't coach enough. They don't role play enough. You ought to be role playing this every day. Hey, let me give you an objection. I don't like the size of the yard. I like the house, but I don't like the yard. What do you say about that? What do you say? I understand. What's the isolation question? Is there any other reason outside of you not liking the yard? Now, let's go back to my objection about 100%. Here's what I would say. I would say this. Can't we both agree that very seldom in life we get 100% of what we want? Now, this house is not 100% of what you wanted, but it is 97% of what you wanted. And it's 100% of the price point you wanted it. Does that make sense? I just challenge people. Well, it ain't perfect. Can't we both agree that very seldom in life things are perfect? If I brought you a house that was 95% of what you wanted, at 100% of the subdivision you wanted, 100% of the school your kids wanted to go to school, and at 100% of the price point you wanted, could you get over that 3% that you don't like? See what I'm saying? What I do is I push people a little bit. And you know what most people do? They go, you're right. Imagine this morning you woke up and all you had on your mind was a sausage and biscuit from Hardee's. And you couldn't get anything out of your mind except a sausage and biscuit from Hardee's. And you went down to Hardee's and the woman at the counter said, I understand you want a sausage and biscuit, but did you know we make the best ham and biscuits on this side of the Mississippi? And what do you say? Hey, I'll take a ham and biscuit. Here's my point. Part of selling is convincing people. Part of selling is saying, look, I know what I'm doing. The reason you came to me is because I'm telling you what you need to do here. People don't know what they want till you tell them. Does that make sense? What you can't do is go, okay, let's go look at 47 other houses and find 100% of what you want. Guess what? Because it don't exist. Yeah. Now, here's what I want to close this, guys. When you think about this, this is just part of a presentation that I do. Every month I'm coaching people. Imagine taking what you're doing and getting 5 to 15 more deals a year. What would that mean to you? How much more money would that mean to you on 5 deals? $50,000. That's a good number, right? Here's what I tell people. If you don't get 5 more deals out of my coaching program, I give all your money back. That's my guarantee to you. If I coach you for a year, like we've done today, every month on things like this, how much better will you be? How much more money will you make in your career? How much more money will you make this year? Does that make sense? Top performers all have coaches. The greatest real estate agents have coaches. The greatest mortgage originators have coaches. The greatest insurance people have coaches. And the reason they're going to coaches is not because they suck. It's because they want to perform at a higher level. Does that make sense? They're here and they want to go here. And the coach is having these kind of hard conversations with them. Listen, some of y'all will go out and take what you learned today. You'll sell another house within the next couple of weeks because of what you learned today. You're going to handle objection better. You're going to follow up 7 touches. You're going to call people back faster. You're going to service people after the sale. I can't believe we got all that in 50 minutes. That's a lot of stuff. Yes or no? So here's what I told Eric White I would do. Our coaching program is $4.99 a month. If we get 5 people to sign up, if 5 of you want to enroll, we'll do it at $329 a month. That's $150 off per month. Do that times 12. But you got to have 5 of you to sign up. Anything less than 5 is $4.99. Does that make sense? Okay? But this is the kind of coaching I'm going to give you month after month after month. Okay? Now you can look at some of the successful real estate agents we have in our coaching program that would tell you they're doubling and tripling their income. We got a mortgage originator doing $142 million. That's a ridiculous amount of money. When she came to me, you know what her goal was? 60. She said if I could do 60 million, I'd be happy. She did $142 million last year. She probably made $2.5, $3 million. So I'm not interested in getting you a little bit of bump in your business, like selling 1 or 2 more houses. You can do that on your own. I'm interested in getting you 5 or 15 more deals a year. Okay? That's the kind of growth I want you to get. Okay? So if as you leave today, if you're interested, just say, hey, I'm interested. If you want to get a group together of 5 people, we meet every month. And we do live coaching sessions right here. You would be in a group with 40 to 50 other successful people. And the first Thursday and Friday of every month, I do a Thursday night, I do a Friday morning at 7:30, I do a Friday morning at 9. Then I do a series of coaching sessions throughout the month on Facebook, private group, webinars. Basically, every Tuesday and Thursday, I do a rhythm. So basically, in a given month, you get coached about 15 to 20 days out of a 30-day cycle. It's a lot of coaching. Now, you don't have to participate in all that. You can come every month and get coaching like this. Go do your thing. Some people, it's like church. When I open the doors, they're here. Some people come 1 time a month, get it, go do it. Then they say, I'll see you next month, coach. So it's really up to you, but it's a whole lot of value for what we provide. So if you're interested in that today, just stick around. Tell me you're interested. We'll get you enrolled. You get $150 off. What's 150 times 12? $1,200 discount? $1,200 to $1,500 discount? That's as low as it's going to get. Because my prices ain't going down, they're going up. Okay? That's the way it should be, right? We have some people paying $60,000 a year, just so you know. We've got people paying $60,000 a year individually. We got people paying $40,000 a year individually. We got 25 people paying $25,000 a year to be coached by me. And then we have a basic level that gets you started at the $499 per month. Does that make sense? That's where you need to start at. Or you can say, look, forget that. I'm in the $25K level. We'd be happy to sign you up too. Any questions for me? Thank you guys for coming in today. I apologize about it being hot in here. We had a power outage earlier today, and it's messed up our air conditioning unit. So the air conditioning unit is on, but it ain't cooling like it should. So if you're hot, I'm about 10 degrees hotter than you. You know what I'm saying? You hot and I'm even hotter, but I do. It went off for like 1 second, and it affected our unit, and we just noticed it. I was doing a training this morning, and I recognized it. But it has affected it, because it's typically cold in here, not hot. So make sure we got all your information. Like I said, if you're interested in taking it, you guys can work it out. Something you want to do. You got some come back to me with 10 people and you have some negotiating power. Right? And you can't negotiate until you have something to negotiate, right? Thank you guys. God bless you, okay? Thank you. Y'all were a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me pick on you too. All right?